Liberals are mentally unstable. That's not me calling them a name. That's based on a poll of liberals that we'll get to. First, we're going to go over here to some interesting good news about the Biden autopen situation. Trump questions Biden's use of autopen for pardons. They're coming after the autopen people officially. A senior Justice Department official has been instructed to investigate President Joe Biden's clemency decisions towards the end of his term. Now, the investigation initiated at the behest of a senior official appointed during Donald Trump's presidency will focus on pardons granted to the Biden family members and the inmates on death row. So he did a lot of other pardons, but these are the fishiest ones that probably use the most autopen. And it's entirely possible that Biden's family went over his head and just autopenned their own pardon. Pardons over scrutiny include those issued to Biden's siblings, Jim Biden, James Biden, Frank Biden, Valerie Biden Owens, and their spouses, as well as his son, Hunter Biden. Now, I think these pardons are the ones that are most believable that Biden would probably say, yes, pardon them, and then they ran the auto pen. Not so much on the death row inmates, I think is a much harder case to make. The investigation will examine whether Biden was competent and whether others were taking advantage of him through the use of auto pen or other means, according to an email from the Justice Department's pardon attorney, Ed Martin. Ed Martin stated that he views the presidential pardon power as plenary. That means exhaustive and complete and absolute, but still believes the Biden pardons warrant scrutiny, despite a 2005 Justice Department memo finding it legitimate for a subordinate to use an auto pen for a president's signature. Now, we're going to get to why liberals are unhappy, because I think part of it really is what you saw with Biden. They're miserable. I'm going to show you proof that they were miserable even while their guy, Biden, was in charge. Like, what's it take? You guys got everything you wanted politically, and you're still, during 2023, some of the least happy people in the world, while Trump was even being prosecuted. So even if you give them what they want, they're unhappy. Here's Sean Hannity destroying someone for the Biden cover-up.
Michael, you're going to come on this program and you're going to look America in the eye and you're going to tell us that you did not see any cognitive decline in Joe Biden, because we saw it, we chronicled it starting in 2019. You're going to tell us that?
Well, I am, because I've been very consistent about that, Sean, with all of your colleagues on all of the Fox News programming since I left the White House and at the end of 2022, that my 3 years
Michael, let me interrupt you.
In the White House.
Michael.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
I think you're full of crap.
That's the harshest. I don't watch Sean Hannity much, but I've never heard Sean Hannity do that to someone on the air. You're full of crap. I don't believe you. I mean, this is a guest. The right is pushing harder and pushing their face down, and the left, he has no excuse.
Let me be straight here. We have tape after tape after tape. I could spend the next hour, we spent an hour on Friday playing him struggling, shaking air, not knowing where to go, talking to dead people. He could barely utter a sentence. He was a shell of his former self. Now, either you don't have eyes to see or ears to hear, or you're just politically blinded, if I'm going to be charitable, or just a political hack. But you can't say you didn't see it. I don't believe you.
Okay, so Sean, you have the highest rated programming on Fox News, on the highest rated cable network, and in 2019 and 2020, the American people saw the same thing and had the same access that you did, and he still won by 7 million votes and has the most votes ever received by any president in American history.
And where did those 7 million people go for Kamala? This is fascinating, too, because I don't know the answer to that, guys. I've racked my brain around it. Even if they're mail-in ballots, these are registered voters. They could be registered ghosts, but still, where did they go?
I'm not here to defend the cover-up.
Did you not see it during the debate? Did you see it during the debate?
Yes. Yes.
That was the first time you saw it.
Sean, it was the first time many people saw it. Yeah.
Now he's hiding behind many people. Many people saw it for the first time. I think he's nuts or lying. We're trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. of you being able to say, I'm actually an intelligent person, and I saw it back in 2019, like the rest of the right half of the entire planet. This is the study I want to show you on liberals being actually mentally depressed and unstable. Okay, so this is a tweet from Charlie Kirk. This is Nate Silver's latest blog post notes. The conservatives are up 31 points, almost those with among those with self-described excellent mental health. We're up 31 points, and down 26 among those with poor mental health. That's like a 50-point spread. Democrats have turned themselves into the party of the neurotic, the unstable, and the miserable. This is my message to depressed Democrats. Come join us. Come over to MAGA. We'll treat you well. We'll love on you. But all you have to do is give up the lies. I don't know if there's that many takers, even with that, but I'm just saying it doesn't cost that much to give up a lie. We're just liberating you. I'll show you down the road by all the different metrics, no matter what, why conservatives, and I'll even go farther with conservative Christians, but specifically conservatives are way happier and way better mentally adjusted than liberals. Here's higher self-reported mental health correlates with conservative political views. Self-reported mental health, excellent. Conservative, 51%. Liberals, just 20%. They are dying on the vine.
With conservative political views, 51 to 45% when it comes to excellent versus poor. Yeah. And I don't think the Democrats would have expected that.
I don't know, man. I didn't need a poll to know they were unwell. Just drive around and see someone wearing a mask in their car, and you know who they're voting for, and you know they're not okay.
And when the ones that are torching Jews, you already know who they're voting for and what they do. I'm going to show you how this isn't a recent development. It is from a long time ago. These numbers have been trending. I've been following them for well over 20 years. So the flip happened a long time ago with Democrats being miserable and depressed. So this is from April of 2024. Why does being left-wing make you unhappy? The ideological makeup of well-being. This is going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into why this is happening. So you'll actually get a lot of insight on your liberal friends. There's currently much concern over an apparent deterioration in mental health of young people over the last 12 years or so. The debate has focused on technology, even if the phones are to blame. However, they're probably not the only cause. It's worth noting that the rising prominence of social justice discourse, sometimes referred to as the Great Awakening or being woke, has taken place over the same period. Excuse my crude proxy. So here you have this graphic, shows it remaining relatively flat. This is 2000, 2002, all the way through to 2010, 12, then in 2014. So 2009 is the cell phone, that's over here. But 2014, it totally spikes. 2014, 16, 18, and they're saying this is the white privilege line, which matches the liberal political line. There's indeed some evidence that this is part of a problem. A 2021 paper on the epidemiologist at Columbia University entitled "The Politics of Depression" proposes that one cause is the rise in youth depression is increasing exposure to politicized events. Importantly, the authors observe a significant difference in rates of depression between students who identify as liberal and conservative. So there's the blue female liberal is the highest on depression. And then here's the male conservative, this orange line right here, ends up at the lowest in 2018. This is consistent with the longstanding finding in the scientific literature on happiness. People who lean right, politically speaking, tend to be happier than those who lean left. For instance, this analysis of 2 long-running global happiness studies finds that conservatives are generally happier than liberals. The ideological gap in well-being precedes contemporary concerns about phones and polarization and culture wars. It's not confined to young people, as Musa Al-Gharbi notes in a recent comprehensive evidence review. The gap manifests clearly across all age groups and is present as far back as the polling goes. Liberals have worse mental health than conservatives. Guys, you can almost end this show right now. Don't you dare do it. You got to watch it all the way to the end to help me out here. Going all the way back to the beginning of polling, liberals have worse mental health than conservatives As well as being more likely to be depressed, they tend to be more neurotic and more anxious. This is true across genders and age groups. It's an equal opportunity employer. This one goes back to 2014. This is when I first started seeing it. The paradox: unhappy liberals and happy conservatives in happy welfare states. A paper titled "The Subjective Well-Being Political Paradox: How Happy Welfare States and Unhappy Liberals," published in the Journal of Applied Psychology, has found the people living in more liberal countries rate themselves as happier than do people in more conservative countries. But paradoxically, people who consider themselves to be liberal are less happy than people who think of themselves as conservative, regardless of where they live. The study looked at responses from 1,100,000 participants to the Mannheim Eurobarometer survey from 1970 to 2002. That's a huge spread, and contrasted this data with information. The researchers looked at 16 European countries which were rated on liberalism based on including access to welfare, sickness benefits, employment compensation. Participants rated themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 from left wing to right wing. The results: previous work by political scientists and psychologists who have come to the same conclusions on societal level and on individual level, respectively. And public opinion in the US found that 47% of Republicans reported themselves to be very happy, compared to just 28% of liberal Democrats. Republicans have reported themselves to be happier than Democrats every single year. The General Social Survey began in 1972, and the relationship does not seem to be mediated by whether Democrats or Republicans in power, because I already know where the liberals are going with this. To be liberal is to be more depressed than a conservative. Obviously, there's outlier cases on both sides. I'm just saying the numbers don't look good if you're liberal and you want to be happy. This one is from 2023, Why Depression Rates Are Higher Among Liberals. Columbia researchers look at the politics of despair. American adults who identify as politically liberal have long reported lower levels of happiness and psychological well-being than conservatives, a trend that mental health experts suspect is at least partly explained by liberals' tendency to spend more time worrying. The Bible commands we do not worry. Do you worry? Are you worrying? Don't worry. You don't want to be a liberal. Don't act like a liberal. They spend more time worrying about stress-inducing topics like racial injustice, income equality, gun violence, and climate change. Now, a team of Columbia epidemiologists have found evidence that the same pattern holds for American teenagers. Boy, it feels really bad. If you were raised by liberals, then you have a higher chance. Imagine being raised by a depressed person. But I've got the best news for conservatives. I'm saving the dessert till last because this one is hilarious and I love this hard. This is from the National Library of Medicine. This is an NIH study, this Institute of Health study. Political party identification and romantic relationship quality. Let's skip the foreplay and go straight to the good stuff down here. 2017 investigated the association between political party identification and both sexual frequency and fidelity. Although the study is not published as a journal, Wolfinger used a large US data set and strong methods consistent with the field of sociology, finding that Republicans reported having more sex than Democrats, and that Democrats were more likely to report cheating on their spouse than Republicans. Wolfinger further found that marital status explained the difference in sexual frequencies. Republicans are more likely to be married because Democrats keep trying to liberate women from God's biblical plan. Which party's against marriage? Democrats. And married individuals report higher sexual frequency. Controlling for a variety of other variables did not explain the observed differences between Republicans and Democrats in report of infidelity. Even net control of variables, Republicans were 23% less likely to report cheating on their partner than Democrats. Tell your kids, tell your grandkids, if you don't want your partner to cheat on you, if you marry a Republican, you're 23% less likely to be cheated on than if you marry a Democrat. But wait, the case is even stronger. Another investigation into the association between sexuality and voting behavior examined differences in sexual satisfaction. It'd be easy just to say you have more sex, fine. But the sexual satisfaction by political identification using responses from more than 19,000 people from France, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, and the UK. A YouGov survey in 2016 found that conservatives reported being happier with their sex lives than liberals. Liberals are depressed, they're terrible in bed, and they're destroying your country. I'm Doug in Exile.